Back to the daily grind, and shout out to the full-time patrons. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full time.
MMA.
The last Stylebender, Israel Adesanya, just beat Marvin Vettori and to remain undefeated at UFC Glendale, but he gets a W in his record, but at the same time kind of holds a little bit of an L, I would say. Israel Adesanya had a lot of hype coming into this fight. People were comparing him to John Jones, Anderson Silva, and a lot of these guys, and he's been saying, yo, I don't want to be compared to these guys. I want to be my own Israel Adesanya. Now, Israel Adesanya still has a bright future in the UFC, but as far as the next John Jones, we definitely need to pump the brakes. I think as far as Israel Adesanya's jiu-jitsu is concerned, looks like he needs a little more time on the mat. It was interesting during this fight because we had the normal commentary crew coming in, and then we also had the guys from the Fox desk chiming in during the fight. And when Tyron Woodley and Michael Bisping were talking, Michael Bisping said, well, let's talk about the first 2 rounds before we get into the criticism. Actually, let's get into the criticism first, and then we'll talk good to end the video. So in the 3rd round, Israel Adesanya had won the first 2 rounds, in my opinion. First round was a little closer than the 2nd round. He landed some big shots in the 2nd round, jumping uppercut and some other stuff. That's what you see in the picture. But in the 3rd round, Marvin Vettori was able to secure a takedown early in the 3rd round, and he was able to keep Israel Adesanya there for a good portion of the 3rd round on his back. And when Israel Adesanya was on his back, that's when Michael Bisping chimed in and was like, you know, he kind of looks like a fish out of water right there. Like, he didn't say he got exposed, but he was saying, you know, his technique off of his back just wasn't there. Then they switched it back to the commentary crew, and you had Dominic Cruz speaking, and he was saying the same thing as Michael Bisping, and they weren't even like talking to each other. It was a whole different commentary crew, and he was saying, yo, this is interesting seeing Israel Adesanya on his back. I'm sure a lot of fighters are going to be looking at this in the future, and hey, it is what it is though. Israel Adesanya, now the good. He's still one of the most exciting up-and-coming fighters in the UFC. But he had a really extensive kickboxing career, like over 50 fights in kickboxing, and he's also got great takedown defense. That's the good thing for Israel Adesanya. He defends a lot of takedowns, and he's able to get up sometimes. Like in his last fight, he was took down 3 times, only 3 out of 15 attempts. But those 3 times, clearly Israel Adesanya was able to get back up as he went on to win the fight. But at the same time, when Israel Adesanya is flat on his back, he might not necessarily have the skill to get up if he's not kind of just muscling his way out of it or standing up against the cage. Like they were talking about how he wasn't using his butterfly guard or anything to really try and stand up. He didn't really seem like, so that's just something to keep an eye on for Israel Adesanya. As far as his takedown defense is concerned, it's legit. He defends them, but if someone is able to secure a takedown, and let's say you get a high-level jiu-jitsu guy on Israel Adesanya, that might be bad news. But at the same time, Israel Adesanya's got time to learn, time to grow as a grappler, as he has a kickboxing background, and he also didn't get the finish in this fight, which someone on the commentary crew pointed out, because Israel Adesanya talked a big game before this fight, you know what I'm saying, and that's what you're supposed to do. That's what a lot of people do. Got a lot of eyes on him, but at the same time, with a lot of eyes comes a lot of criticism, comes a lot of people that have their eye on you. You become a target. And so with that being said, Israel Adesanya, if you recall, at UFC 221, he made his UFC debut, and he was like, I'm the new dog in the yard, and I just pissed all over it. Middleweights, I'm coming for you. And so in this fight, he didn't really have a dominant performance versus Marvin Vettori. Marvin Vettori, though, is a very game fighter. He's a very well-rounded fighter. And Israel Adesanya, in my opinion, honestly, I thought this was a unanimous decision for Israel Adesanya. I thought he won the first 2 rounds, and the 3rd round for sure for Marvin Vettori. So I had a unanimous decision for Israel Adesanya. Judges had a split decision for Israel Adesanya. Either way, Israel Adesanya remains undefeated at UFC Glendale. Now it's time for Carlos Condit versus Cowboy Oliveira, and of course the main event, Justin Gaethje versus Dustin Poirier. Let the full-time family know what you think in the comments about Israel Adesanya, the last Stylebender, remaining undefeated against Marvin Vettori at UFC Glendale. I'm out. And as always, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button and also hit the notification bell right next to it so you're notified every time I upload a video. I'm out.
This is #1 bullshit.